Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us out here in rural Thailand. And what we're going to take a look at is one of the most significant archaeological sites in the country of Thailand. We're going to look at Si Mahosot ancient town. This is a humongous old ruin that's out here. It dates back to the 6th century when the Dvaravati controlled the central Thailand here. They set up a town here. They dug an earthen wall around the place. They have a series of canals and stuff like that that they used to irrigate and control flooding. Then it became under the sphere of the Khmer in like the 9th century, and then it was later abandoned in like the 13th, 14th century, somewhere in there. Probably due to trade routes changing, the rise of Ayutthaya, Sukhothai, all of that. This place lost its importance. So anyway, we're gonna go through here. I'm gonna go on the motorcycle because this place is really spread out, and we'll take a look at kind of the high points and see what we see today. Now, when I say it's rural, I mean rural. As you can see out there, there's cassava, we got corn, sugar cane, we got rice paddies, we got all the stuff around here. It's kind of a town that's built here on the old ruins, and it's kind of scattered out. So a lot of the places have like barbed wire fences and stuff like that, and you just kind of follow the road around. You can't get into some of the places. So anyway, the first thing we're going to look at is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. This is an old laterite dug pond, and what is amazing about it is that these are carvings from like the 9th century. There's animals, there's elephants, there's lions, there's all kinds of stuff carved into the laterite walls, and you can see it right there. This is fantastic. So the animals are, you know, Hindu animals, even though this was primarily a Buddhist city when it was under the Dvaravati, but the Khmer brought in Hindu influences it. But you have all these here. It's really cool. So all 4 walls are carved. So right here, these are the animals that are on that far wall. And you can see them over there, the elephants, everything else. So they call this pond the Sa Kiao. And they dug down into the laterite, and you can see. And then it still holds water, everything else here. And so they did those carvings centuries ago. Now the sign says 1st to 6th century, but I don't know if they were occupying this area then or not. You see stuff 6th century, but I don't know about earlier than that. And then you can see the stairs that they carved into that laterite also to access down, and they probably could have got down into it from over there also. So this is right outside of the city itself. There's like a check dam over here and another pond on the other side we'll take a look at. Then we'll jump on the motorcycle and go see like the Ganesh shrine and the Vishnu shrine and some other stuff. And this little pond that's right over here next to it is called Sa Kwan. And you can see it's pretty much in a primitive state right here. But you can still see where they dug down into the laterite. And they would have carved those laterite, or they would have quarried them out to use as building materials elsewhere. And then right over here is the 3rd place right here when you first come into the old city. So this right here, they called it the earthen blockage. And there's a little sign talking about how it was 2 meters high, and they used it to push the floodwater away from the town itself, and it would have went out into this little basin here. This is the Bang Pakang Basin. All right, so that's that, and we'll be able to see a lot of the walls and the canal and everything else, and we'll go down into the park this way. All right, like I said, we'll do this by motorcycle because everything is really spread out. And there's signs up like this right here that'll take you over to the Buddha footprint, and then you can go whichever way you want. Let's go this way first, and then we'll come back around, do a loop. And you can see how rural this is. That's all the cassava. There's bananas, there's coconuts, there's everything. So right down here, this is the canal that was dug around the outside. And we're kind of on an earthen bank on the outside of it. There would have only been a couple ways into the town. They would have had a wooden bridge up over this way on the eastern side that they could actually move for security purposes. And you see the signs up are in English and in Thai. Yeah, the city itself was on the other side here. We're on the outside right now. So just to give you an idea, this is what the city itself looked like. And there was a canal cut right in the middle, and it has all those different sites. And we'll just kind of look around here. That's all in Thai there. Okay, so this is the first thing we'll look at. This is the ruined vihara of the South Gate. And there was like a wheel of law and everything else here at this site originally. Now it's just down to the laterite base. So you can see the difference in the sizes of the temples back in the day to what they are like now. This is kind of cool. They carved that laterite into round columns. And then this would have been the main hall with the Buddha image in there. And then you can see the laterite columns that they would have had here also. Yeah, so they excavated this. Any important relics were taken from here to the museum that's nearby. Okay, so this is a small site here. And then let's look at the little ditch that was dug around the city. So you can see this is the South Gate and the rampart right here. So they dug down to the laterite foundation, and then they used it and they piled the dirt up. And there's a sign over here that talks, so you can actually see the stone marks where they carved and chiseled that laterite to use. And we got a little critter going right upstream right there. Oh yeah, this is really cool. And then on the other side, there's more laterite, and it goes up in the trees now. Yeah, so there's a sign here that says that this South Gate right here would have allowed people to go over to that temple right there, that ruined temple. Yeah, this is fantastic here. But you can see how big this is. I mean, this is a humongous canal that they dug here for defensive purposes. And you can see the laterite. So that would have been all hand digging. It would have been some serious work to build this. And you can see there's pieces of laterite over there that they carved, and there would have been probably a structure here. I don't know how they would have allowed people to cross. So let's go into the town now. Yeah, so you just go all around in here, and it kind of crisscrosses around. So this is the earthen embankment on the inside. So the town is basically in two halves, because they have this little cross canal up here that cuts it in half. Okay, so this is what I was saying. This is a cross cut. And what they did here is they cut this to cut the town in half. And what it would do is it would alleviate floodwaters from one part and bring it down into here. And then it would go into the moat and keep the area under control for floods. And then we got mango trees over here. And the farmers selling coconuts. Yeah, that's the linking ditch. It's quite interesting. The old people here, oh, here we go. This is the Vishnu shrine. Yeah, the old people were so ingenious. I mean, but necessity was the mother of invention. So if they were here and it was flooding, they had to sit here and figure out a way, because we got to fix this problem. So they came up with some pretty ingenious solutions. Okay, so what we have here is this is the four-armed Vishnu. And the locals worshipped here for protection and prosperity. And you can see again, they got the round columns here. And then back over here was a smaller little pedestal. And that's where the priests would do the ceremonies here. You can see the round columns are scattered about. And then the laterite, they carved all of that laterite stone. And this Vishnu would actually pull out of there. And it has like a little male end that goes down into the pedestal. And you can see two of the arms are gone. But this is the Hindu elements here that would have been brought in. The Dvaravati were Buddhist, but they did have a lot of trade with India. And then the Khmer also brought in a lot of the Hinduism. Yeah, and so here's the smaller little pedestal. And you can see all the orchard around here. Oh, this is really cool. Just back in here, you wouldn't even know it unless there's a sign telling you to come in. Okay, so let's go look at some more stuff. Now online it says that they have a little tram tour that takes you to the highlights, that it's 50 baht, but I don't see anybody doing that here. Maybe they do it at a certain, like during festivals or something like that. But right now it's best just to drive through. You see all their houses and stuff like that here. And they just built up on all of the old ruins. All right, so here's our next little stop. Okay, so this is the ruined holy mound of Dharma Rama. Now there's a temple way down here, and then there's the laterite and stuff like that. So this was a little walkway you could go, and what the devotees would do is they would come out here and they would do meditation. They would do sitting meditation, also the walking meditation along here. And then you could see all the laterite, and they carved little seats back in here to where the monks could do the little sermons. They would sit down in the little seats and give the sermons to the people that came over here. Yeah, I don't see what the seats look like. Maybe this is it on the back side right here, or maybe it was here. I'm not sure, but it's in a pretty primitive condition. Now this whole town, after it was abandoned, probably in the 14th century or so, the jungle came in here, the trees covered it all up, and so this was not rediscovered until the 20th century. So everything was kind of protected underneath, you know, the soil and trees and everything. And you can see there's a little farmer shack over here. He's got his bananas and stuff. And then the main part of the ruin is right here. Yeah, so this would have been the main temple building here. Now there's just one tree and a few of the brick, which is kind of different. Most of the building materials are these laterite stones, but you can see they have a mix of it. And then they have the farmer's pipe going and a fence right there. All right, so let's go back and get on the motorcycle and keep looking. Yeah, this place is just absolutely massive. And we're just basically on the south side right now. So this is on the west side over here. And you can see this is all the earth bank that they have here that they dug up. And then that shows you down into the moat that they had. Okay, so we'll cross back outside here. There's a little site right here we'll take a look at. And got some people selling some fruit and everything here. So we have another small little pond. This is actually really close to that first thing we looked at right there. I went the other way, so we came back over here to see this. So this is the ruined temple of the Buddha under the seven-headed Naga. Okay, so this is a 7th century Dvaravati temple. And what they did is they found this image right here that has the Buddha with the 7 Naga around. And what they did is they moved that. That's actually in the National Museum of Bangkok. I will have to find that, take a look at it next time I'm at the museum. And this is just the Wehan and all of that. It's just down to the base. So there's not a whole lot to see at this site. You can see just the trees have overtaken it, and they haven't done any real excavations here. Okay, so there's a few more sites I want to see over here, if we can find them. Okay, so we'll go down this little trail over here. They have a interesting thing right over there. We'll look at it after we look at this. This will have a ruined chetty that's out here in this field. Yeah, and when I say that this was rediscovered, I mean it was rediscovered. So if you can imagine, this is what was covering this whole area. So you just couldn't see anything. There's not any real high points here. So the local farmers knew about it and stuff like that, but the Thai government had to come back over here and start excavations. And they declared this a historical landmark, I think, in 1935. Okay, so we're about 350 meters outside of the south gate. And this is the old chetty. Right there is the Wehan, and this is the chetty base. So this was just a small stupa from the 7th to the 9th century. The base of this one is like 3.8 meters by 3.8 meters. And there's not a whole lot to see here. You can see they used the laterite and they used a little bit of brick. So this would have been the base of the Wehan. So this would have been the preaching hall. And you would have accessed it from the south rampart. You would have came over here and walked up in here to see this temple. All right, so let's go back into town now. Looks like he's back up in here cutting some wood. His old truck. Yeah, they're back in there somewhere doing something. Okay, so what this is right here, they call this the Southern Weir. And what they did is they cut the laterite down. They made this kind of a narrow spot, and then they drilled post holes right there also. But they used this to control the flow of water into the other ditches that were around. And they say this was 2 meters high here. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, so what we have here, this is what they call the Eastern Gate. And over there you see it's kind of dug like a horseshoe. And what they did back in the 6th century is they built this right here. They had a wooden gate that crossed this, and it was a little bit different construction than anywhere else along the city moat. But I don't know if you can quite grasp how big this site is. This just is absolutely massive. I've been riding along here for quite a while, and just you're barely scratching the surface of this old town. And where we'll eventually wind up is over here at the Ganesh. That's the thing that I want to see. Oh, we found a little Thai group over here. So this is a reconstruction of one of the little little gates that they had. They would take the laterite, they cut them into round columns and drove them down into the mud, and then they built like a series of little dams that the water would flow over, and they were like little check dams. But it would work like this right here. So it was just stair-stepped, and then the water could flow over it, and it would help regulate the level. And you can see the use of the laterite, and that's what they did right down here. Yeah, this is the weir. This is right next to that new construction. So this is where they would drill the little round pieces of laterite down into the mud and use it to control the water here. Yeah, this is a nice look at the linking canal. So this is what cut the town in half right here, and it helped regulate the water levels. Oh, this is great. Got some boys out here on the little canal in the little boat. They're having the best time. There's their bicycle. They're paddling around. Okay, so we got 2 more things that we'll see today. The last one I want to look at is the Ganesh, and the other one is a ruined Chaya, or however they say it. Okay, so this is the ruined Chitia. Now there would have been little lions right here. You can see what's left of them from the laterite. It's weathered down. And this would have been a really, really important site. They say they found remnants of a bronze Dvaravati style Buddha from here. And they think this was built in the 8th century. You can see where they've reconstructed it. This is all new, these laterite stones, but they used the existing ones right here. You can see how weathered they are. So this would have been actually a pretty substantial haul. And then they would have had some holes that they dug here for the columns. Yeah, this is really, really cool. And then they would have had the Buddha image up on top there. So this is a laterite base with like a wee hand up on top of it. So this would have been a really sacred site here for the residents of this town. And it's right next to the last thing we're going to look at. Yeah, this site is right here, and in the ruins of the Ganesh temple over here. Okay, so this they say is the largest temple here in the old town. This was in the center of the city, and it's the oldest depiction of Ganesh here in Thailand. You can see it over there. Ganesh is like the remover of obstacles and prosperity. So worshipers would come over here and pray for, if they had a hardship or they wanted money or whatever, they would come over here and pray. So there were 17 different pedestals inside of this site. So they had the Ganesh, plus they had other deities. So this would have been a busy, busy place. You can see they've stuck a small little one right there. Yeah, the Ganesh is a really popular deity here in Thailand. The Thais will go out of their way to pray to it. But you can see they've done some excavation here, and you can see how big this site would have been. They got laterite stairs that goes over there, and then they would have had other little platforms. So we got to see the Vishnu, and then we got the Ganesh, and then they would have had some Buddhist places here also. So you can see some of the debris here. They actually have some of the little ceramic tiles piled up over here. They had a big, huge tree growing. And you can see the original base down there. Yeah, this is really something. So you can walk down the little walkway that thousands of feet would have walked back in the old days. Oh, check that out over there. Yeah, this is really a nice little ruin. This is the best one, I think, here at the site. I like that little pond with animals carved into it. That's something I've never seen before. And then this is quite a cool little temple ruin here also. And then right back behind it's just mango trees and everything else. Yeah, so they came back in, they restored that, shored it up, put concrete with some rebar in it just to keep it from collapsing down. Yeah, it's a shame. This is just down to the base, but it would have been something to see when it was in use. You can see some of the rubble here, those round laterite stones. So the Thais have put some little elephants by the tree. And then we have the Ganesh with the broken tusks. Yeah, a lot of times you'll see him with 4 arms. This one just has 2. This is a modern representation of the Ganesh. Okay, I see. So this is a new statue, but it's a replica of the one that they had here. So it just has, it has 4 arms. It has 2 on each side. And you can see it just has 1 tusk broken off. Yeah, that's really a nice little image. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at this Mahosot. This is a fantastic site. It's pretty much in a primitive condition, but you're going to be out here away from the mass tourism. The crowds are not here. I saw just a few people talk to some others about this site. Most of them didn't know anything about it, the Thais, but they were pretty excited to come out here and explore. I've really had a good time. I see some things that I have never seen before. That Sakao, that pond with the carvings, was fantastic. That alone is worth the drive over here to me to check out. Getting here, it's not super easy. You're a couple hours outside of Bangkok. Probably hire a van or whatever to get you over here to it. You can take a bus up here to Prachinburi and then figure out a way to get over it if you're going to do it that way. But the whole site itself is really spread out. So if you're on a bike, you could check it out, but it'll be a lot of work to pedal around here and see it. But it's definitely cool. It's something I've been wanting to check out. I got over here today to see it. I'll probably pin a comment to the Buddha footprint. That's another site not too far away from here. That's the oldest Buddha footprint in Thailand. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video of me driving around here on my bike looking at all this stuff. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button. If you've been here or have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Or if you know more than I do, I would like to read up about it and learn a little bit more. This is an ancient site, so there's a lot of stuff that I've just barely scratched the surface. So if you definitely know more, let me know, and subscribe and all that. And until next time, from over here in Thailand, remember, life is a journey. So until next time, enjoy.